When people think of the first MMA fights, UFC 1 or the early Pancrase tournaments immediately come to mind. But those of an earlier generation think of a bizarre exhibition bout in 1970s Japan. Today, we look at how two combat sport legends squared off in one of the biggest fights of all time, a match that proved as pioneering as it did farcical. Welcome to the INC, and this is the story of Muhammad Ali vs. Antonio. There's no R in that? Okay. This is the story of Muhammad Ali vs. Antonio Inoki. Come on, give me more credit than that. By the summer of 1976, Muhammad Ali's boxing career was seemingly complete. Ali was 8 months removed from his fabled Thrilla in Manila bout with Joe Frazier, and he had kept himself busy defending his title against opponents of questionable talent levels, stopping Richard Dunn and Jean-Pierre Koopman, as well as a decision over 15-1 underdog Jimmy Young. At 34, and with his activist work becoming more prevalent, many believed 1976 would be Ali's last in competition, and there came an astute interest in cashing on his brand while the opportunity was around. Prior to his match with Frazier, Ali attended a reception hosted by Ichiro Hata, president of the Japanese Amateur Wrestling Association. During the meeting, Ali boasted that no man from the Orient could beat him in competition, offering a $1 million cash prize should they prove victorious. While most dismissed Ali's statements as playful trash talk, his comments garnered significant interest in Japan, with one name in particular willing to answer the champion's call. For over a decade, Antonio Inoki had been one of the biggest stars in Japanese pro wrestling, winning titles in New Japan and the Japan Pro Wrestling Alliance, as well as being one of the first Asian stars to find success in North America. A brilliant self-promoter, Inoki's popularity reached outside Japan's booming pro wrestling scene, so much so that in 1971 he was kicked out of the JPWA after attempting to take over the promotion outright. During this time, Inoki remained in the spotlight with a series of exhibition bouts, pitting himself against fighters from other combat disciplines in televised events. While Inoki's opponents maintained the fights were legit, many speculated they had been worked with the aim of maintaining Inoki's mystique. The one exception being a match with former strongman the Great Antonio, where Inoki beat down his Lithuanian opponent when he refused to follow the script. Inoki's backers, including boxing promoter Bob Arum, managed to raise funding for the event, offering Ali a $6 million fight purse for what he believed to be a worked exhibition match. A deal between the two parties was reached in March 1976. The boxing great versus the pro wrestling legend. The origin of what would become known as mixed martial arts.
Look at him, too nervous to eat meat. Can't even get the food in this thing right. The spoon almost missed his mouth. Look at him, having trouble getting the food. I don't blame you, boy. I'd be scared too fighting somebody as crazy as I am.
Ali spent the months before the fight training with several pro wrestling stars of the time, including the original Sheik and Freddie Blassie, as well as beating several enhancement talent in a series of exhibition matches. Ali's preparations were done in somewhat jovial fashion, seeing the match as little more than a showcase designed to build his post-retirement nest egg. The fighter, however, underestimated just how legitimate Inoki was. Alongside his pro wrestling training, Inoki had been an acclaimed shoot fighter under Carl Gotch, with jiu-jitsu icon Carlson Gracie describing him as one of the most talented grapplers he had ever seen. Inoki was going into the match with the aim of hurting Ali for real, in an attempt to legitimize pro wrestling as the premier combat sport. It's here that two versions of the story diverge. According to Inoki, Ali attended the wrestler's training camp to rehearse what he believed was a worked bout, but after seeing the severity of Inoki's training, realized he'd accidentally signed up for a legitimate fight. Another theory put forward by boxing journalist Jim Murphy suggested it was Ali himself that asked for the fight to be real, due to disagreeing with the planned finish which would see the fight lose. A young Hulk Hogan took notes. Whichever version of the story you believe, the days before the fight saw Ali's camp make several changes to the rules, most of which were designed to neutralize Inoki's offense. Inoki would not be allowed to throw or grapple Ali, and could not land any kicks unless he had one knee in contact with the mat. Ali's corner also insisted the rule changes not be made public, as doing so would make the match seem more of a mockery than it was already becoming. Ali vs Inoki took place at the Nippon Budokan on June 26, 1976. Demand for the fight surpassed all expectations, with an estimated 1.4 billion viewers worldwide, and ringside tickets selling for up to 300,000 yen. Over in America, pro wrestling promoter Vince McMahon Sr. sold 30,000 tickets for a closed-circuit telecast of the fight at Shea Stadium, the main event of a card which saw Andre the Giant face former Ali rival Chuck Wepner. It was the War of the Worlds, however, which proved the night's attraction. But those in attendance remained unaware of the rules imposed days before the fight. It left many in bemusement when the action finally got underway.
So this is round 1 of the 15th round. Inoki fires a dive.
With his most potent weapons taken from him, Inoki's team found a loophole to the rule set. By staying on the ground, Inoki's team found a way to attack Ali without the boxer being able to do so in return, and began hammering Ali's shins with a series of leg kicks. While Ali tried to put on a show for the watching crowd, it was clear he had no answer for Inoki's offense, and by the 8th round, was forced to deal with hemorrhaging in his leg. Ali would land just 6 strikes over 15 rounds of action, as the normally respectful Japanese crowd began pelting the ring with debris. The fight was declared a draw by the 6 ringside judges, while those watching were forced to accept that they'd been sold a dud. Reaction to the fight proved negative, with fans and writers describing it as the most embarrassing moment of Ali's career. But the physical impact proved much more immediate. According to cornerman Freddie Pacheco, the damage sustained led Ali to receive an infection that nearly led to his leg being amputated. While Ali would eventually return to action, Pacheco believed the fighter's trademark movement was severely impeded in the years after. Ali would fight just 7 more times in the years after, looking a shadow of his former self before calling time on the sport after losses to Larry Holmes and Trevor Berbick. Ali and Inoki would become good friends in their later years, with Ali attending the wrestler's final match in 1998. By this point, however, Ali was in the midst of his public battle with Parkinson's disease, one that would ultimately claim his life at the age of 74. Although derided at the time, Ali vs. Inoki would have a more positive impact, inspiring Inoki's students Masakatsu Funaki and Minoru Suzuki to found the hybrid promotion Pancrase in 1993. The fight was even acknowledged in Hollywood, as Sylvester Stallone used the bout as inspiration for the Rocky Balboa vs. Thunderlips match in Rocky III. Damn, that Hogan analogy I made earlier was more accurate than I thought. The pioneer years of MMA are filled with many bizarre hybrid matches, but few of those match the notoriety of Ali vs. Inoki, not only for the fighters involved, but the lasting impact it had on combat sports, an impressive achievement given how poorly it was received at the time. For all of its achievements, however, it did little to answer the question over whether boxing was better than wrestling. It wasn't until James Toney vs. Randy Couture that this question was finally answered.
And it's all over! Randy, the natural Couture, has defeated James Toney!
This is the INC. Please like, share, subscribe, and ring that bell so you never miss a video.